Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with Investor More. We're outside one of my rental properties and we have a tenant who just moved out. So we're going to see how they left their unit. That's a small house. We had a tenant move out recently that completely trashed it. So hopefully that didn't happen on this unit, but you never know until you get a look at them. Now this property might also have some other interesting stuff going on besides the trash truck, which I was actually just talking about with Nikki, my project manager. I'm like, how does a trash truck get back here? And we'll show you why that's confusing. But there's a rumor I've heard from someone that the city wants my property and they want to expand this intersection, and it's possible they might do eminent domain with my property, buy it from me, and tear everything down. Now, I have not heard that. The city has not told me that, but someone told me it could definitely happen. So here's the drive you have to come in on. And so that trash truck has to back up into here to get to there. And I actually went over and talked to the trash truck driver. I'm like, hey, is there anything we can do better? And he's like, nope, this is the easiest spot, the only spot. You can't really help us out much. So I helped him get the dumpster over, and he was happy. And I guess we're just going to leave it like that. This is the unit that was trashed a few months ago. Was it 6 months ago? I'm not sure. But the tenants had stopped paying rent, and then weren't communicating with us. We had to post a notice, and we got our first look at it here to see what it looked like. Now, the other unit we're going to look at today is actually in the basement, and it's a very interesting, some might call weird unit that a lot of people are surprised we can even rent, but we get $800 a month from it, one of the cheapest rentals in the area. On this one, I think we're asking $1,200 a month for it. We have since fixed it up, cleaned it up after these tenants made a pretty big mess and wrecked some stuff. And it was pretty easy to rent again as well. So you can see they damaged the floor, put some stuff on the cabinets. They painted doors and rooms and walls and just done all kinds of stuff. There's a reason why landlords say don't paint anything, don't make any changes without permission from the landlord, because you see stuff like this. And I think they had painted this wall to cover up damage they had done, but did a real poor job of matching the paint, didn't really paint everything. So at least they kind of tried on that front, but then once you see what they did in this other room, you kind of lose most of the respect for that effort right there, because this room was not green before, so they painted it, did a pretty poor job, and then I don't know if their kids did this or what happened, but they painted all the trim on the door, and there you go. So we definitely had to do some work here. One of the videos I went over was how much this unit costs to repair. And people are surprised when this unit probably cost us, $4,000 or $5,000 at the end of it when you go through and paint it, have to replace some flooring, do lots of other minor fixes. I think we replaced some doors. And then the time it takes to do all that, we're not collecting rent. Plus, we got to find a new tenant. There's a lot of time and money that goes in to fixing properties, even minor repairs. It's not easy stuff. So we did get this one fixed. We got it rented again. Everything was worked out in the end, but it sure saves us a lot of money when tenants take care of places, clean places, kind of leave it how they got it when they first moved in. And there's a lot of pushback on that right now, on how tenants shouldn't have to clean or do anything. And I'm like, well, it just makes rent more expensive, just makes it worse on the next tenant who comes through. So that's that property. And here is what the newly vacated one looks like. Now, I bought this whole property 2 years ago for $350,000. Came through, redid all of it. It was pretty bad, but we've got 1 2-bedroom house, a 3-bedroom house above here, this basement apartment, and then there's a third house, but we're not allowed to rent that. This place is only approved for 3 residences, so we can't rent that one. It just kind of sits there. We have a few things stored in there, but yes, I know this is a weird unit. It's got the fridge in the living room, but you'll see why as we go through it. So it's not bad. It's not awful. The other weird thing with this unit, it doesn't have a bedroom. So you can see we have an egress window here in the living room. That's the only window in the whole place because you can't put a window anywhere else. The upstairs covers all of this room, like past the walls, so you can't put an egress window in. And you also have another issue with this being a bedroom in that the furnace is accessible through this room, which is against code. So even though this looks like a bedroom, it has a closet, It is not a legal bedroom because it has no window and the furnace comes through it. So we cannot call it a bedroom. This is just a studio apartment. And this can be like an office or a den. But yeah, technically it is not a bedroom. So the living room has the egress window and a door, obviously, to get out. But this room does not. And when I bought this property, that furnace was walled in. There was no access to it. There literally was drywall around all of it. We had to cut out the drywall to get to it. It was crazy. Could not believe they did that. And that door isn't closing as good as it should, so we might have to get that adjusted. The front steps are a little wonky too. We'll have to work on those. And yes, I said the fridge is in the living room. That closet is for the water heater. It is not like a linen closet or anything like that, so it's not something the tenants need to get into. So it's not blocking anything, even though it looks like it is. So it's in decent shape. They didn't really clean much, but no damage from what we could see. That's nice. Cleaning isn't a major issue, but we still, like I said, a place really should be left as it was found. Quite a few spiders down here, which is, basement. Sometimes you find spiders. Here's the kitchen, and this is why the fridge is not in here. There's nowhere to put it. I suppose you could take out a bunch of cabinets and put the fridge in here, but then you're just taking away cabinet space, which is very minimal as it is. So we just thought it was better to put it out there. Like I said, the water heater, some mechanicals are in that closet, so you can't really move those anywhere else. There's nowhere else for them to go. So this is kind of how you're stuck with it. So yes, it's a weird basement apartment, but $800 is one of the cheapest around, and it actually rents fairly quickly when we have it up for rent. Now the downside to an apartment like this is that you will have a lot of vacancies. Whenever you have some of the cheapest properties in an area, weird units like that, you have people who move in and out quite a bit just because most people's goals and aspirations are not to live in a place like that for very long. So that is just something to consider. So we will see what happens with the property in the city. Like I said, I haven't heard anything. They mostly just contact me to send me letters about my weeds being too tall or there being too many weeds, things like that. They did have some surveyors go on the property a few months ago, and I think they asked for permission to do that if I remember correctly, but didn't tell me anything else. So we'll see what happens. If they do eminent domain, I will be interested to see how they come up with an offer and all that, and hopefully it's market value and not something else. But that would be an interesting process to go through and see how that all works. But again, for all I know, they aren't going to take it. That was rumor. Who knows? But we shall see as time goes on. And of course, I'm sure this unit will vacate at some point. The house will vacate at some point. And we'll show those videos too. Just like, I think we have 87 units right now if you count all my commercial and residential properties. So when you see us showing units that are trashed and ugly, we have a lot of units. Most of our tenants are good. Most of them leave the units in pretty good shape. But of course, the bad ones get the most attention. All right, thanks for watching. We'll be back soon with a lot more videos on some flips we're working on, businesses, a laundromat, liquor store, all that coming up soon.